怠惰だね、スバル。
Bro, where's my game? I was in Roblox Studio, and then I pressed the right-click button, opened the script, and typed in add combat system, add inventory system, add models, add sound effects, add released game, and then I went to the publish button and released the game. But it didn't come out. I had a fully finished open-world RPG with 10 years worth of playtime, 100 different storylines, every single if route, and more. And the game was so real that when Rem grabs your testicles, you could feel it. That's a lie, making games takes way longer than that. Seriously, there are so many people that think it takes like a week or a month to make a game, it's crazy. You gotta remember, part 1 and part 2 of this series probably took me, what, 2-3 months each? I think the first one took 4. It's a really, really slow process, which is what we're going to talk about today. So what you might know is last video we started again from the beginning because of the problems that were shown in demo 1. And remaking 2 episodes worth of gameplay again obviously is going to take longer than episode 1 and 2. So me being gone for 5 months, I mean, I'm sure you can put 2 and 2 together, right? At the end of the day, my competition isn't these other YouTubers that do these small tiny series or big games like Rel Seas or fucking Holy War or whatever the hell, right? My competition is Bizaah. I am my own competition. And in order for Rezero to be the best possible game I can make it, clinging to hard work I made previously is just slowing me down. And the best part of all this is I broke the curse. I finally learnt how to count to 3.
Go to sleep, go to sleep.
So first I made it so when you move, you lean in the direction you're walking. I then programmed an environmental light system that automatically adjusts the settings of the lighting and color correction based on what time of day it is and where you are. Right now it's only got the one setting, which just makes nighttime look a bit darker and daytime look a bit brighter, but in the future it might be able to make it so it's less saturated in cold places and more saturated in hot places. You get the idea, you know, it's kind of cool. And I also added inverse kinematics on the legs, and if you don't understand what that means, it just means if there is something underneath your legs, it's gonna like lift them up to make it look like, you know, it's not just phasing through it. I like that the legs position themselves on the stairs properly. It's just kind of cool to me, I guess. And I made this localized star shader, which is a really weird way to explain this, but that is kind of what it do, which isn't really a finished VFX, but it's more of a concept for some future Aldebaran content I'm thinking about. I don't know. It's been a long time since I made this, but I just thought I'd show it off because it's kind of neat. And this is around the time I really started leaning into making custom stylized textures. So expect to see a lot of these as time goes on. And while we're on the idea of stylized textures, how about some stylized assets? I mean, you know, I'm in the same ballpark for it, so why not, right? I started making this sort of nature pack, if that makes sense, which mainly consists of this fern-type bush thing and some flowers, with a little rock as well, because, you know, I mean, when you're not near a rock, right? Making these is surprisingly a lot easier than I would have thought they'd be. So you can expect to see a lot more of these in the future. They're pretty fun to make, and they look gorgeous in-game. Roblox is really at its best when you do a very specific type of stylized asset, because for some reason the lighting just never really hits that anime look. Even with a lot of realistic projects, there's always something kind of off unless you stylize it slightly. And for the world of Rezero, which is known for having quite a lot of scenery and nature kind of shite, it's worth having good quality nature assets. It was around this time where I started greyboxing a Lagunica layout, and if you don't know what greyboxing means, it's where you place down cubes and basic shapes to sort of explain to yourself where things are going to go and what kind of assets you're going to need. So most of these cubes either represent a house or some form of building. And it was around this time that I learned that my YouTube series had inspired quite a lot of people to try to make their own Rezero games. And you know, they were something, but you know, like, it's really nice to see loads of Rezero fan projects, but don't name it Rezero. Like, what is this? It's like the most Chinese knockoff name I've ever heard in my life. Die! Die, Oliver! Die! I can return by death. Die! Die,
Oh, it's one
Oliver!
shot, dude. Holy shit.
Die! No! Rental go! Oh, I got the trick shot!
Fucking kick.
Summer! Oh my god, stop, please! Every shit game under the sun ever always has that fucking free open source wind thing. I think this is like a custom made one, but it's still shit.
Oh shit, they can return by death. What?
I learned from my mistakes when I return by death. Oh, I'm better. Oh my god, I'm better. Oh my god, I actually feel different.
What?
Oh my god, I feel different. Oh! Anyways, so I added these jumping and landing effects, which will be changed later, and started improving my animation skills. The problem with a lot of my animations up until now is my posing had just been kind of weird. I didn't quite grasp how an R6 should be posed, because the body parts are so different from a normal human. So I spent a few hours practicing my poses, and trying to understand where body parts should be placed based on human anatomy or some shit like that. Geeky terminology and overcomplicating Roblox blockman. Hey, what can I say? It's what I do best. I started making some dashes and redoing the punches to try and standardize the new combat towards a more item-based framework rather than being standalone like it was before. Oh, and I added some VFX to the punches so you can tell how far the range is, because it's not super obvious. I'm skipping over quite a lot of the details about combat right now because something happens a little later on and I'll, get to that when I get to it. But I started making a concept for the main menu, which you might have seen on my YouTube shorts, and this took a stupidly long time because, in all honesty, even though I know how to make cutscenes, I haven't actually made many of them, as I'm not really a fan of cutscenes in video games, especially for combat because I believe it takes away from gameplay and trades good mechanics and ingenuity for a mediocre video of your character doing something cool rather than you actually doing something cool yourself. So yeah, here's the final menu concept. I'll come back to this later and clean it up and, have some proper effects on it, but this is it for now and I think it's fucking awesome. Immediately after spending half my life making that cutscene, I decided to spend another 5 hours making Stairsman's outfit. Stairsman is one of the most important outfits in the entire game, because without Stairman, Rezero is nothing. The absence of Stairman just makes it, so much worse. The stairs are truly what makes Rezero Rezero. And without the stairs, Natsuki Su Stairman would not be as great of a character. After this, I revised the Rezero logo because the O was a bit wrong and the font was kind of off. So now the new logo and text is like 1-to-1. I also started posting sneaks on TikTok because apparently it's good for advertising. This is the first time I've ever made and used a TikTok account, so go follow it. I don't think I'm really going to use it much though. I also made this beautiful tier list to sort of tell people which characters I'm going to be adding or looking into adding first. Whether that be clothes, abilities, weapons, whatever, right? But this list shows you that obviously Subaru gets made first, Reinhard gets added way quicker than someone like Aldebaran. That doesn't mean the lower priority characters will not be made soon. It just means you're going to see a lot more high priority characters being added than low priority characters being added. As in, you'll see the odd 1 or 2 low priority character be added over time. I don't know, I can't quite word it, but if you can understand what my brain was thinking at the time of making this, then you get it, you know what I mean? I must have really been on some fucking divine intellect shit about this, man. It was around this time that my best buddy Eclipse announced his JoJo game. This was something that I talked to him about in this really old interview I did with him, but sadly, playing this game really fucked up Rezero for me, and slowed down the amount of work I was doing on the game by a fuck ton. And you might want to ask, why? Because Eclipse's game is pretty poorly made. And that's fair because it's the concept stage where he's just sort of throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And the real problem was that this was really stupidly fun. And I really enjoyed the open test to this game. Even if there were no crazy finished models, animations, no nothing. The gameplay wasn't super nuts. But I had more fun on this game than I ever had on the new version of Rezero. And this game was so much more polished and done, even though Eclipse had, kind of fucked up the production of making it. Now, he's currently in the process of rewriting his game to make it not buggy and not have memory leaks and so on and so forth, but it made me think, hey, is what I'm currently making good? Or is it just another demo I'm gonna have to scrap for the main game? So that's where I decided that the Rezero I was making at the time was just not very good. And after reviewing all the code, I realized that there were many improvements I could make. Firstly, the old codebase was made with hybrid mix-ins. And the reason I was doing that was because of some web development shit I was learning at the time. And I don't know what my thought process was, but I was like, oh yeah, let's try that with fucking Roblox. Looking back on it, that is the worst idea for a framework ever. So I started off by just deleting everything and recreating the character class using standard OOP composition, not doing some stupid weird technique or trying something special. We're just going for the most reliable way to make a game. And composition OOP really makes things a lot more simple and easy to manage, being my favorite scalable solution to any big frameworks. Sure, ECS, WCS, whatever the hell, they all exist and they're all good in their own right. I mean, some idiots even use knit Jujutsu shenanigans, but standard OOP composition just speaks to me. The only reason you'd want to use something more complex is if you're trying to over-optimize a specific thing and it's I don't know, dude, I'm gonna get some try-hardy fucking scripter in my comments or my DMs being like,
you should make your own humanoids from scratch.
Anyways, I started working on some new movement animations, such as, running, walking, idle, anything just to do with the character existing. to try to make the game just look a bit better. My old animations for movement were not good. I then made a trading/testing map. I made a wall bounce system, which is meant to be an improved version of Deep Woken or Rezero Demo 1's parkour system by adding 4 different directions that you can now bounce off, with walking directly at a wall sending you straight up, but all the other directions bouncing you off the wall. It also has a stronger bounce if you push away from the wall rather than pushing into it. And then I added a downed and crawling system, similar to what you find in pretty much every Ubisoft game for some reason. When the timer runs out, you bleed to death and die, unless you have a talent that would make you get up instead. I'll talk about that another time because it gets kind of, confusing, but it's a revive system, there's not really much else to it. And I started making a new HUD, and because it's so small, I've kind of accidentally gone back to the pixel style. Again, trying to push away from it, but it keeps calling my name. And I also made this really cool fucking compass. This is a really cool fucking compass. This compass took me a really long time because it's a really fucking cool compass. I want everybody to appreciate how awesome this compass is and how cool it works. So yeah, I added some admin moves. Mostly for testing and getting around the place quicker, but it's really funny. So after this, I started trying to get really good at making materials, and I made some metal. And afterwards, decided to make a rolling system, and made some new rolling animations too, because Demo 1's rolling looks really bad. I mean, that's kind of like a consistent theme here. And it was at this point where I started building a new testing map that, it's not an actual place in Rezero, but I just wanted to build a dungeon, man. I don't know why, I wanted to. Dungeons are cool. And this map was used to test. I can't say exactly what we are testing here, but we're testing something, and it's very important and crucial to the game. And by this point, Rezero was caught back up to Demo 1, with more mechanics than before. I made the single worst Alhuma VFX ever, and I started messing around with making some models, which eventually led to me designing a whole new way to model and texture assets. This completely new workflow has me hand painting every single shadow and highlight by hand, leading to some really nice models that are significantly better than my old ones, and has a completely different style than the old ones. So I'm sure you get where this is going. All the old ones are now invalid and probably are not going to be used. So we're going to be starting again from zero. Well, I've got a Subaru outfit, so I've done some things, okay? I've done a few models, okay? So it's not quite zero, but it's close. I also made a jacketless version where I was fixing the creases a bit. But overall, that's it for episode 3. Oh no. I mean, last video I said I was gonna remake the combat and maybe add a move or two, and I did add a move or two, to be fair, specifically 2 moves. But, if you gave me 6 months instead of 5 months, then maybe I could have done it. But everyone was like, no, Bizaah, where is the episode 3? I don't know where it is. You need to tell me. This episode 3 is gonna be wonderful. It's gonna have all the moves. But it didn't have all the moves because you didn't give me 6 months. You gave me 5. So, it is how it is. But Rezero right now is in one of the most fun states it's ever been in. I spend more time playing it than I do making it, it feels like. So hopefully that's a good sign. I'll see you all in another 1 month, 2 month, 6 month, 2 years, 5 years, 50 years, 100 years. And hopefully in this theoretical episode 4, Rezero is much further ahead than it's ever been before. Thank you all for supporting and playing Rezero Starting Life in Another World. If you're still here, feel free to subscribe and join my Discord server. It's full of very evil people, and you can join them. I'll see you soon. Hopefully, it'll be a bit sooner than you think.